get engaged with the IFA. It doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require a lot of money. And be vocal for support. How can we help the industry be better? And IFA is there to support that. I felt very, very full of energy and excitement and the future for the industry that you and I have been in for a really long time, and what impacts we can make. Because I think this is the same thing for a lot of the clients that you talk to. You're now in a career transition. What kind of impact can I make? What can we do now to be more impactful for future generations?
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today, we are going to bring in a return guest, our old friend, back to talk about an event that she and I went to here recently. The IFA, the International Franchise Association, had this a big kind of legal advocacy summit a couple weeks back in Washington, D.C. Honestly, one of the coolest things I've been a part of in a long time. Danielle Wright will be here with us to talk about kind of her experience, as well as she and I both were there for this just a fantastic and incredibly educational event. So that's coming up here in a second. As always, quick reminder of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals like yourself who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with over 600 franchise brands in about 70 different industries. Our number one goal is to help properly educate you on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for you. And if so, we're going to help you find your absolute best fit. So that's a little bit about us. Now let's get to our guest and that IFA Legal Advocacy Summit we attended a couple of weeks ago. And we are back here on the Franchising 101 podcast, and our special guest joining us today to talk about a fun event that she and I attended here a couple of weeks back is the amazing, the one, the only Danielle Wright. Danielle, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm wishing I was where your screen little saver thingy was right now.
I really wish I was there too, but countdown begins.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing that in. So we went to the lovely capital, Washington, D.C. a couple weeks back for the IFA Legal Advocacy Summit. And I think you and I both commented we've been in this industry a combined 26 years, something like that. It's the first time we've been to a conference in a while. We're like, holy crap, we actually learned something. Share with everybody a little bit what the heck this, first of all, let's go to the basics. What is IFA?
International Franchise Association.
And they are what and who?
They are a organization that supports the franchise industry, from franchisors to franchise consultants to franchisees, making sure that we have a voice for our small businesses in Washington.
Excellent. And I know one of the things, and you got the little handy dandy cheat sheet there, but was kind of mind blowing. Like, I don't think people always realize, and maybe even we sometimes forget, how big and massive this industry is.
Yes.
With amount of franchise units around the country, but also how many people franchise units employ. It's crazy. What are some of those numbers?
Yeah. So an organization, tagging them now, called FranData, actually pulls together a lot of research regularly for the IFA, for franchises. They are a trusted resource in the franchise world. We use them for a lot of different things. But they are projecting that for 2024, the franchise community will employ about 8.8 million people across the country for 2024. And then there are about 821,000 franchise establishments across the country. So it's pretty eye-opening when you think, yeah, we say there's 4,500 brands, give or take. Some live, some die, some sit in an ether. But the reality is that there's still a lot of franchises that are opening and operating across the country today.
And it's something like $8 or $9 billion of revenue those franchise businesses are generating per year, which is also just an insane number.
Try the number, says 893.9 billion.
Billion with a B.
With a B, franchise output in billions for 2024.
Yeah. So the fact that the work that the IFA does, and largely on behalf of kind of everyone in the franchise industry, making sure that the franchise model does not go away, because let's be honest,
Right.
in a word, that would be bad. So
it definitely would be bad for the two of us. That's for sure. What would we do?
I don't know, like get a job. Ugh. So yeah, I'm old, but I'm not old enough to retire. So that would, please don't go away. So, what were some of the things that, I guess we had a couple of things. We had a bunch of speakers. We had some members of Congress that spoke. Obviously, some of the amazing team with IFA. I mean, the IQ points on their team were like.
You didn't feel like you were losing brain cells sitting with them, right?
No. I felt like they probably lost a couple. And my little I was like a little puppy dog with one of them in particular that was so kind to me on the time that was what he was spending. But super smart people doing this for a living. We also got to go up on the hill. Like, I like just saying that because it makes it sound like
he wants to be
important.
a cool kid, right? Like,
it's a meetings on the hill.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that, I guess, some takeaways for you from kind of hearing everybody speak?
Again, we learned a lot, right? And so for the listeners, it was a couple of days, and we went in on a Monday, and IFA has their board meetings. We did welcome receptions. Tuesday, it was a lot of learning. They brought in a senator from Montana, who, business guy, has become a politician and running for Senate for that state, has done some amazing work on behalf of small business. They just invited a lot of people in to talk to us about small businesses, taxes, the dreaded word taxes. But we talk a lot in franchising, right, about the benefits of small business ownership. What does that mean for anyone buying a franchise or starting a business or whatever that may be you're working for yourself? There are tons of benefits to you from a tax perspective. And with the election coming up and all of those pieces, they were educating us to what are the things we need to know that will be coming down the road to us as small business owners. They were advocating for franchisees. We just also, back when we went to the IFA in February, they had launched a new campaign helping underserved communities and individuals become franchise owners. So that ascension policy just went into place, and they had 12 people that were in the first class there at that event. They were getting to walk on the hill and talk to their elected officials. I think what you tell your podcasters, right? Like, you live in Arizona, I live in Florida. So we got separated. So you were on the hill with
Did you miss me?
No. With the Arizona group, and I was with the Florida group. So we got a lot of opportunities. I got to sit in the Ways and Means Committee for a little bit. That was, you didn't actually think you were going to get to see an active committee going on. And I'm a little bit of a nerd about that stuff. So it was just nice to be able to have a voice. And I think the thing that I took away more from an action perspective is how we can help franchisees be more involved, if not with their local governments and with local policy. Like, get engaged with the IFA. It doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require a lot of money. Most of the franchisors are registered with the IFA. So basically your membership is nil. And be vocal for support. I mean, don't be vocal from a negative perspective, but
right.
How can we help the industry be better? And IFA is there to support that. And so I think I felt very, very full of energy and excitement and the future for the industry that you and I have been in for a really long time, and what impacts we can make. Because I think this is the same thing for a lot of the clients that you talk to. You're now in a career transition. What kind of impact can I make?
Right.
I want to make money. Yes, we all want to make money. We all have bills to pay. We all have mortgages. We have kids in college. We mostly all have something we have to pay for. So we need to create income. But I think at this inflection space, like you said, you're old. I'm not as old. But what can we do now to be more impactful for future generations, or even for our parents that are still alive, trying to make it through all of this crazy environment? And let's not discount that it is an election year. So it was it was a fun dynamic. I don't know if we had gone any other time that we would have had as much of a takeaway as we have, or been empowered as much as we have. But I think with it being an election year and getting FaceTime with the actual people we vote for, maybe not necessarily always their staff, and their staff was great, right? Like, I think you have a lot of feedback on the staff experiences that you had. But it was just super, super fun. And if I can be an advocate and get one more person engaged with the IFA in their local community, or do one extra thing to submit some type of feedback to the IFA so that they're speaking for us when it comes to various legislative packages, I feel like that's a success and a win all the way across the board. What did you take away?
Yeah, I like the whole kind of political side of things just intrigues the heck out of me. I'm not very smart about it. And I think you and I both kind of had the thought of like, man, can we go back in a time machine until graduating college and like, oh, I want that. Like, I'm sure like those legislative assistants and whatever their titles were, like all the kids in their 20s working in those offices. I'm like, man, that would have probably been a lot of fun to do. I'm sure they worked their asses off, right? But to think of, and I think especially, and I do my best on this, and from a business standpoint, to like portray political neutralness on this. But this is a polarizing time in our world from a presidential standpoint. Mm-hmm. But the grand scheme of things is that doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. It's really the opportunity to get like hyper focused locally, and that's like, again, these suckers need our votes, so they're going to at least pretend to listen. They're
gonna love to be called suckers for sure.
But they,
because they're tuning into the Franchising 101 podcast.
Sure they're listening.
Are you tired of being stuck in traffic during a long commute to a job you don't really like? Do you find yourself thinking of all the things you would rather do than driving on the freeway at the speed normally reserved for a school zone? Do you wish you had complete control over your personal and professional life? If so, you're not alone. So do our clients at FranCoach. FranCoach works with talented yet frustrated professionals who long for more control over things like freedom and flexibility, the ability to work hard for themselves versus someone else, and most importantly, avoid the craziness of rush hour traffic. How can this be accomplished? By working for yourself as a franchise owner. FranCoach works with people like this to help them identify the absolute best franchise for them to own, the one that can help them achieve all their goals. If you are sick of rush hour traffic and want to see if now is the time to work for yourself, contact FranCoach today at francoach.net. Set up your free consultation so we can help you get off the road to nowhere and create your better tomorrow.
Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchising market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. But, and one of the meetings that I had as part of the Arizona delegation was with one of the senators, Mark Kelly, and then he was actually there, which was cool because the other one who's on her way out was not. But one, as I told you, like Mark Kelly's astronaut suit was in his office. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Two, I was definitely too tall to be in that suit, but he actually like took time to listen to what people were saying and asking questions, right? And I'm like, dang, so it's like you have an opportunity as somebody local, senator maybe a little bit less so, but the representatives that we spoke to and even their aides, I mean, they're taking notes. And if you don't show up, it's kind of like if you don't vote, you can't bitch. If you don't show up, you can't do it either. And I think it really helped me realize you and I both had this takeaway. It's like, oh my gosh, like all of the people at this entire summit, you're like, how do you get more and more franchise owners or just more and more franchise professionals there to reach out? Because we really can make an impact.
Well, and candidly, for anyone listening, they say there were about 300 to 400 people there for this event, and I'm pretty sure half of those were suppliers. And nothing against our suppliers, right? Like we need the suppliers. They are the things that help support franchise owners in their growing businesses, like not discrediting a supplier at all. But what surprised me is how few franchise owners, the actual owners, were there. And the ones that I was with in my group, two are individual, like one owns one unit, one owns two units, totally separate brands. One of them was the franchisee of the year. And so that's amazing because they've owned their business since, I think she said 2001. So it's a really, really long time, right? The other one, he's owned his franchise business for a long time. But some of the others that were in the group, they were massive owners. Like a person owned a lot of massage envies and sola salons and even if you just own one franchise business, like I'm in Tampa, Florida, right? Like if you just own one, show up, like even if you just come for the day, just show up, because those are the stories that these elected officials need to hear, not a supplier story, not necessarily what we do, right? But you guys are the people that are opening the doors every day, shutting down the lights at every night, paying the taxes, employing the people, and kind of making it from day one to day two, and then you're going to go vote, right? So that's the other thing that I can get across here is no matter, right, you and I generally stay really neutral. I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. I may always love you. I don't care who you vote for, but vote. Like, just vote. And most importantly, to your point, like the local pieces where things happen, where you can actually see an impact. And let's not get started on what my career aspirations were. Otherwise, we can be on this podcast for 20 solid hours. Like I am very passionate about, in that moment, I'd gotten very jaded in life that I didn't think our voices were being heard. But attending that event, in that smallest second, you did feel like someone was paying attention to you and that they were making notes, and something will go back and be said. But just like anything, it won't happen overnight, but you got to be the loudest and the most frequent saying it.
Yeah,
Same thing with franchisees and franchisors, right? Like if there's a problem in your org, stand up, say it, be vocal about it. Don't be rude about it, but be vocal about it.
Yeah. And I think there's this perception again that it's like the highest level, but it really starts at the I would say the bottom, but the lower levels of, yes, I got to, like get to meet Senator Kelly and, the little photo op is super cool, but the local rep, and I know you had the same story with yours, local congressman for my like rural ass district here in Arizona. Got to meet him, and I guarantee you I can follow up with him and he will remember who I am because of there was a connection and a story, and there's a picture with the hat and the whole thing that like does open the door to create some further dialogue from that standpoint, because there is that connection. And again, it really does kind of go from again, I should find a better word than the bottom, but the bottom up. And I think
just say from the local to national, that's the difference,
there
right?
we go,
It's like
right?
local to national.
But you talked about the number of people that are employed by franchise owners, which is massive. And again, as an elected official, that's a lot of votes, right?
Yep.
Number one, but number two is the stories, right? And this is where, again, yes, we love our suppliers, but there's nothing better than a story from a franchise owner. And like, again, why are they doing this, and the control and all the things that are better in their life. Yes, it's hard work, but it's way the hell better than having a job, right? And being able to share
that a lot
stories.
Here, right? So we're not inclined to make up stories. It's just not really our thing. But when you're sitting there talking to franchise owners, and to your point, you're hearing the same consistent method. Because what we do now, and I'm sure it's really annoying to others, but when we're with franchise owners, like the question is what and why? Like
right.
what was your why and why? Like, right? What and why? And like, what are you doing and why did you decide to do it? Right. And so these are real life stories. And to your point, the themes are the same. You may be feeling like, I want more control over my life. I want that life-work balance versus work-life balance, right? I want to be able to work for myself, but not by myself. And all of these people are saying the same thing in the real life moment.
Right.
Those were the decisions that they made. And one of the guys I was with, he's a $40 million franchise owner. One guy.
40
His
million.
business is 40 million. One guy. Now he has a lot of staffs. And so like
right.
a lot of the tax credits and things for employing and labor and all of those things were a big thing for him on the Hill. But he's just a regular guy, left his job and wanted to be able to employ people in an organization that they would be happy to work for.
Right.
And that was it. Like there was no big story. It was just, that's what he wanted. And it's kind of refreshing to see all of that. So when you ask takeaways, I'm pretty sure we can have a 3-part series of all the different takeaways to the franchisee level, to the IFA level, to the government level. We could talk forever, but it was like, I agree with you and will continue to say this. I was just at a conference and said the same thing. Like it's worth the time. It's worth the money.
Yep.
And for me to say that in today's world, I learned something it fills your bucket to be at our age and still saying, yep, I learned something. And it was an amazing learning situation.
Yeah. And again, no offense to the other conferences we go to or about to go to, like there's not going to be a ton of learning, or where there were a couple of times, especially on some of the tax stuff, right? I'm like, oh, this is why I have a CPA. Like, I'm sure she knows it, right? But but it comes up a lot when people even think about becoming a franchise owner, right? The old, I got to replace my salary. No, you don't, right? Right. So that's a whole nother thing. But, our, car, the gas we put in it, the maintenance, the insurance on it, our cell phones, all of those things as an employee we pay for out of our pocket once we get the crack that is our salary, right?
Right.
As a business owner, those are all
said crack.
Those are all taxable. Like those are all things that are going to help our become, people hear business owners, oh, it's a write-off, right? Like, well, those are things. There's a reason it helps kind of like affect our tax bracket and how much that we pay on that. So those are things.
And kind of a plug here. Like if you want to learn more about that, listeners, we do have a show called the Franchising 360 Show where we will dive into some of these things in more detail.
So, but speaking of which, Danielle, tell us more about this show. What is Franchising 360?
Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can repeat you because I've heard it plenty of time. On the Franchising 360 Show, we're going to take a 360-degree view of franchising. Did I get it about right?
I don't
Talking
listen.
about
I don't listen when you talk.
franchisors, talking about franchisees, and then how to, if you have a business and you're thinking about scaling it and you want to become a franchise, hitting on those main points in our 30 minutes every Friday on Biz TV at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific.
8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Biz TV. So download the app, folks. Apple.
There are local channels if
Roku.
you still have local TV. I just don't know anyone who does.
I'm not sure that's our demographic.
Not on a podcast, I don't think, but maybe.
I'm not sure, just in general, but maybe. You're never too old. We have somebody, one of the coaches on FranCoach right now has a client who is, their age starts with the number 8, and not 8 years old. They're like,
I was going to say, you might want to preface that.
They're in. There are 2
digits. There are 2 digits, and the first one is 8.
the prodigy is 8 years old. So. It's the check out the show. We've gotten the first couple out of the way, so don't go back and watch the first one. It's online somewhere, but
if you want a good laugh, feel free. If you have 30 minutes to kill and you have nowhere to go, sure, go right there. But otherwise,
that one you're not laughing.
Once you skip a few 99, 100.
Yeah. You're not laughing. You're not going to be laughing with us on the first one. You should be laughing, the pity laugh, but some of the next ones, maybe they'll be both, I guess.
Maybe,
so,
but it's us. So
yes, so it'll be great. But tune in Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Anything? One other thing I think, just in general, and you said this already, but I think it's worth mentioning, and we'll give a plug to our friends at the IFA that if you are, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe franchise owners listen to this, or franchisors or suppliers. Become a member, and maybe you go to the annual conference, maybe you go to DC for this. I know they do kind of little regional or state-based road shows if they're coming to your state, things like that. But I just would really, I'm sure you'll echo this, if there's a way in which you can get involved, your voice does matter. It will be heard, especially on that local level. And the joint employer thing is kind of dead for a moment. So, but some of the other things are there's some things out there that can damage this industry. And I will tell you, for 99% of the people in the industry of franchising, they're like, no, don't. We
won't know what to do. Yeah.
Right. And even if it's somebody that is an employee of a franchise owner, well, crap, then they got to go find another job, right? And things like that.
Squirrel moment, you were talking IFA and all of these things. Their web address is different than what people would think. So it's franchise.org. So definitely don't go put franchise.com. They will want to try to sell you a franchise. It's franchise.org is where you're going to get, and it'll show you where your local chapters are, who are the heads of your local chapters. There are ways to be involved with franchise communities. I think that's one thing you and I talk about to potential franchise owners, and I do in franchise systems, is your strongest support system is the franchisee in that system. So this is a way to network with other franchises, maybe outside of your system, but that understand what you're going through. So franchise.org is where all of the IFA information is at.
Do you know who is kind of in charge of that for the Tampa region?
No.
Oh, isn't that you?
That's not me. No,
you're the social
women
person.
in franchising.
Oh, yeah. Can I crash that party?
No.
Dang it.
Are you a woman and I just don't know it?
No. Can I start men in franchising? It seems kind of not fair.
I think that's already existing.
Unfortunately for the women in franchising, it's mostly men, right? So
correct. Hence the women in franchising. Follow us on social channels.
Get involved if you're in the industry. If you're not in the industry, then why not? Right? It's amazing. So, shameless plug. Reach out to us here at FranCoach, francoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. Don't fall for the imposters out there, folks. When you reach out to it, it will be somebody. Their email will say FranCoach. Promise you. Otherwise, it's not our team, and honestly, you're probably in bad hands. So, and don't miss Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Danielle Wright and Tim Parmeter, the superstars of the Emmys were just on recently. like, I think there's a good chance we're going to win one next year. Don't you?
No. But
Maybe.
no.
Okay.
But someone will. It just won't be us.
Okay. We need a little more positivity out of you. So I think,
I'm positive it won't be us. How about that?
Just to be nominated is really, says everyone who didn't win.
Just to
right?
be considered is just, no, not us.
We'll be considered, but not nominated.
Maybe they're Emmys of franchising. Maybe that works.
We clearly have the best TV show, national TV show in franchising. So there's that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Enough craziness, folks. As always, thanks for tuning into the Franchising 101 podcast. I almost said the Franchising 360 show.
Yeah, it's tough for you.
Podcast, TV, we're everywhere. Social media.
Social media. The only thing we're not on is TikTok. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, that's coming. That's coming soon, folks. Oh, and we have a merch store.
It's not live yet.
No, it is live. I just bought something. Where's my beanie?
That's great. It's not live yet.
Okay, it's coming soon. Coming
there
to
you go.
a web browser near you very, very soon. And who doesn't want FranCoach Franchising 101 podcast and the Franchising 360? So I've exalted myself of myself. All right, folks, We're out of here. We will see you next week. Danielle, thanks for being a guest again. And, that whole being my wife thing. Thanks for that too.
Yeah, you're welcome. I try.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.